3 of the African Championships Club road to BAL 2026 is the division wing, and today we had 3 amazing games which we started with. The first game was between the Bravehearts and the Matero Magic. Bravehearts are being from Malawi, and of course the Matero Magic being from Zambia. Matero Magic were really going for this because they wanted to redeem themselves after yesterday's loss. So this was a really tight game, and by the time they were reaching the halftime, the Bravehearts were really at 37 and the Magic and the Matero Magic were at 49. So by the end of the game, the Bravehearts were really heartbroken this particular game, where they lost at a point of 71 and Matero Magic had a point of 78.
But the game was averagely good. If you look at this particular game, you will see the stats. You're going to see that in terms of the fouls, personal fouls, and also the first drawn, they drew. They both had the number or the same number, that is 12. That shows how defensive the game was and offensive the game was. If you look at the total number of made attempts, you would see that the Bravehearts are really dominated with this. They had 78, which showed you that they really went for those particular shots. But now the Bravehearts also dominated in terms of 2 points. They had the number highest attempts of 2 points compared to the Matero Magic, who had only 35, and 24 out of those went in. And in terms of 3 points, we have the Matero boys dominating these, but they led with only 1 point in terms of made attempts. And if you look at those particular attempts which were made, most of the Matero Magic points, which is at 25.9% of the total made attempts in terms of 3 points, went in. In terms of free throws, the Matero Magic had the highest number of attempts in terms of free throws at 19. But unfortunately, 47.4% of those went in. That is less than 50% compared to the Bravehearts, who had only had 17 attempts. But out of the 17, only like 4 didn't go in, because it was a 76.5% success in terms of the number of free throws that went in. So in terms of turnovers, I noted that the Matero Magic dominated in terms of turnovers. They had 21 turnovers. That really shows that the Matero Magic really were playing a very do I call it a very defensive game. So with that, you can also see in terms of the second chance takes, the Bravehearts really took it home with 16. The biggest lead for this game was by the Matero Magic, where they had led with 18 points, but the Bravehearts really came for them, and by the fourth quarter, they had already recovered, and now that's when they started playing the game, of course. So I think for this particular game, because it wasn't much about it, it was just like more of a friendly game. Let's talk to some of my journalists of mine to just get his opinions on the game.
Kwa majina rasmi naitwa Paul Nzioki. Ya watu wenye tumejuana kwa media na sports, wao niita Paulo Mwanasport.
Mwanasport kweli kabisa. Siku ya leo kumekuwa na mechi zingine 3 hatari sana. Ya kwanza ikiwa ni ile Bravehearts dhidi ya Matero Magic.
Yanaitwa Matero Magic, wanatoka Zambia
na wengine kutoka Malawi.
Ya wanapiga story na player wao mmoja wakati game inaendelea.
Kweli.
Alikuwa namuuliza kama timu yao ni local based players only. But akaniambia wameanza kuwa professional. Pia wanatano wanakuwa na wachezaji wengine ambao ni foreigners kutoka nje. But today ukiangalia mechi yao, it reached a point the player akaniambia hakuna kitu anashindania kwa hiyo game.
Kweli.
So timu zote mbili zimepoteza games, zinatoka zioni.
Kweli.
Zina any chance. So ilikuwa ni kama ni game ya kujibamba.
It was a more of a friendly game. Na katika hiyo friendly game, of course, the Matero Magic walichukua siku, waliweza kuchukua siku na 78 ya Bravehearts katika 71. Lakini kitu ambacho niliweza kunote
a difference of 7 points.
7 points, but kitu ambacho niliweza utaweza kunote katika hii game utapata kwamba despite kwamba the Bravehearts waliweza kupigwa, they had the majority of 2 points kwa trials, walikuwa na the majority of 2 points attempts. And hii inakwambiaje kuhusu hii game?
That game number 1 ilikuwa ni a very tight one. Ukiangalia difference inaisha ni na a difference of 7 points. 7 points inamaanisha kama mko na 3 point mfiti, anapiga 2 alafu mnapata penalty, mnamalizia. So hiyo inakuwa ni 7 points. So ukiangalia game ilikuwa tight sana, but
lakini sasa jinsi ambavyo unasema kwamba wangekuwa na 3 pointer hatari sana, labda wangeweza kuteka lead, because hata jinsi ambavyo
hata ni even for if they had somehow a very tall guy mwenye anaweza kuota the second balls kutoka kwa ring, wangefaulu. Wangekuwa fit,
kwa sababu hawakuendea hata 3 points mingi sana, ndio maana walilid tu kwa 2 points. I think for them they were more like let's push for the 2 points na kutafuta zile faults, kwa sababu hata ukiangalia in terms of zile free throws walikuwa na kadhaa ambazo ni 17. Though hata the Matero Magic walikuwa na 19, of which tunaona kwamba when they are going for 2 points, I think they were also looking into that. Wakaweza
and the reason why nili notice they were going more for the 2 points than the 1 point. Number 1, their passing ability ilikuwa fiti. So wakifika tu kwa ring hivi wanajua how to pass the ball. So definitely you are fighting for 2 points hapo, na maybe you will get a penalty, you get a 1 point maybe.
Na pia ukiangalia kwa hiyo game pia utaona kuna wakati Matero Magic waliweza the biggest lead ndio walikuwa nayo wakati walikuwa na the lead of 18. Ukiona kwamba waliweza kurecover na kwamba wakaweza kuwakaribia kwamba wameweza kuacha tuna hizo pointi ambazo ni 7 peke yake. Unaona kwamba they really pushed for it, na mahali ambapo Bravehearts pia waliweza kuongoza ni mahali ambapo waliweza kupata second chance points, ndio waliweza kuongoza na 16. So ni kumaanisha kwamba wakati wa rebound jinsi ambavyo unasema kwamba waliweza kurudisha
kwa rebounds walikuwa wanalala sana. Walikuwa wanalala sana. That is now when I noticed if they had somebody very tall wakokota hizo rebounds ingekuwa ni very easy kwa.
I think Magic strategy today was they wanted to get a lead early so they can manage it, which they did very well, because this game, I think if you check on the points, we won the first quarter, we won the second quarter, we won the third quarter. So most of the points we're trying to chase were first half, that 15-point lead that they got. So trying to cut it down to single digits, and I think Matero did a great job in managing those points.
The game was okay. I think it was a little bit of low energy because both teams not going to qualify, so we had to dig in a little bit more within ourselves, and that's the story of it. When you lose a tough game like yesterday, especially in this format of competition, you're going to sulk a bit and you're going to be too sad. But really, it's not that much time to cry and complain. You got to regroup, come as an athlete, as a professional athlete, and play the game. So that's what we had to do, and it's on each and every one of us to carry that responsibility.
Because you had the last free throws, which were almost the determinants of the game of the final minutes. Did you feel the pressure at that particular moment? How did it feel?
It's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's basketball. If you don't play for those moments, you're playing the wrong sport. It's basketball. That's it.
So the second game was between the Dar City boys and the Ferroviário da Beira from Mozambique, FDB. Now this is a game of winners because the Dar boys had really won the previous game on day 2, which they won against the Bravehearts, and the Ferroviário da Beira had won against the Matero Magic at a very close range. So the Dar City boys, for me, I prefer they brought the height on the court and the strategy, whereas the Ferroviário da Beira, they brought the experience on the court and of course including some strategy in it, and it was a very tight game, though the Ferroviário lost it to the Dar boys at a very wide range of almost 9 points. So it shows how the Dar City boys really dominated the court with this one. And if you see in terms of the total number of attempts made, you're going to see the FBE really went for those particular shots. They really tried making those attempts. They had the highest at 89, but only 30 of those went in. That is a 33.7%. They also dominated in terms of 2 points, where they had the highest at 61 total attempts, but 27 out of those went in. The Dar boys dominated in terms of 3Ps, which is very ironic considering that they have very tall boys. So I really expected them to really go in for those 2-pointers, and really go in for those free throws. But they dominated with that also in terms of free throws, where they had a total attempt of 24, and only 18 out of those went in. Well, another thing I also noted is that in terms of the rebounds, both offensive and the defensive rebounds, you can see that Ferroviário basically definitely had a good balance, where they had offensive rebounds of 21 and defensive of 39, compared to that of the Dar City, where in terms of offensive they only had 8, and defensive, that's where they dominated with 40 defensive rebounds. Another thing to note is that in terms of the turnovers, you're going to see that they quite had the same amount, a good balance of turnovers, because the Dar City boys had 17 and the FBE also had 15. But in terms of second chance points, the FDB really took those chances on the second chances, where they had 21 points from second chance points. And also when it comes to the biggest lead, the Dar City boys dominated with these, where they had the highest lead at 22, and the biggest scoring run was at 13, and this was during the first quarter. When they started the game, the Dar boys really started at a fast game, which now led to that, and now the Ferroviário da Beira had to play catch up, and the Dar boys, City boys, really dominated throughout the game. So from start to end, they maintained a lead. They maintained a lead of the game, and they definitely controlled the court. They definitely controlled how the game was being played and everything. So according to one of my friends, they really thought that the Dar City boys would really take this one home at first.
Hiyo game ujue si kwa sure kama Dar watashinda.
How?
Game ikianza. Because is the first tournament for the guys from Mozambique, the Ferroviário da Beira guys. It is not their first tournament, Elite 16 kucheza. So is a team nimekuwa nikiona kwa hizi games za basketball. So I was like, Dar City, it is their first time kukua kwa hii Elite 16 hapa division ya East. Hii game itakuwaje? But game kuanza hivi, nikarealize kumbe Dar City ndio ile team kubwa kuliko Ferroviário ambao wamekuepo kwa game. So I think Dar City sasa nimekubali. They have a nice team. They have a nice team. Dendoye, Zouzoua, Diakite, they have a very nice team.
I think
nice guys.
The two wali lead for the first like 6
yes.
with 13
I
points.
Mean, points zinafika 10 bado wana lead.
Unaona?
Hauna matumaini hata 3 pointer kwa kutoka kwa Ferroviário. So I was like, now Dar City ni team ya kuangalia saizi mahali imefika. Niliulizanga player wao mmoja, Mkosa. Kosa nilimuuliza, nyinyi mmekuja kwa hii tournament for the first time, mnataka nini? Akaniambia hakuna kitu ingine, ni game after game, game after game, na sisi kwa game tunakuja kuwin. Na even the assistant coach, the lady aliniambia that is their vision, wako hapa tu kuwin game kwa game. Wao wana mambo za tunataka nini na nini eti juu ndo the first time. But ukiangalia wakiingia kwa game wako na determination nyingine noma sana. I think Ferroviário hawana talent enough compared to Dar City. Dar City you could notice 3 guys wenye wangepiga ma 3-pointer. So these guys hata wakipata penalty au washuku hata kidogo. Unajua hiyo ni point.
This game was tough. We headed into the game with one objective, to win, to take the first place in our group. But we get a little distracted in the beginning of the game, and they took advantage of it. and they won the game.
I think today's game was up or down. It was a good win for us, but I think we still need to work on something that I guess we get lazy at, as far as our transition defense and our rebounding. We typically know we've got big guys on our team, so we just kind of watch the basketball. But if we just focus on rebounding basketball and holding teams to one shot, I think we'll be a much better team. Staying consistent and staying together through this challenging time and adversity. So hopefully we got a day off tomorrow and then come back on Saturday and get the most important job.
Yeah, so that was basically that game, and then now the Dar City boys qualify for the semis. So the last game of the day was between the Nairobi City Thunder, our own, and the Johannesburg Giants, and this game was a really tight game, a very enjoyable also game to watch. The fans turned up for the NCT, Nairobi City Thunder, and they really brought the energy in the court, and the Nairobi City Thunder dominated the court, and they were able to win with a very close range of 86 to 83. They were able to win with a range of only 3 points. And these 3 points were really fought for on the last minutes in the fourth quarter.
So it's a really tight game today. Here, this is the last game. This is the third game between City Thunders and the Johannesburg Giants, which is a very tight game, as you can see behind me. The Nairobi City Thunder are currently leading. They have been leading for the rest of the game, for the whole of the game. But during this particular third quarter, the Giants were able to recover and were able to bring the scores at par. As you can hear, the City Thunder continue to thunder down the Johannesburg Giants. So let's see how this game goes. So as you can see right now, this is a very tight game right now. It's 12 seconds remaining on the clock, 5.9 seconds remaining. The Thunder are ahead with 1 point in the game. So
the Nairobi City Thunder really started by dominating. If you look at the biggest lead they had was 12, and they really dominated the court from beginning to end, where they maintained the lead, and of course where the lead was only changed once, and this was a time, I think, during the third quarter, during the fourth quarter, when they tied during the last minutes, and it was a very, 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 very close call for the Nairobi City Thunder. If you look at the Nairobi City Thunder, they dominated in terms of the total made attempts, where they had 35, which went in out of the 80 that they attempted, and also they also dominated in terms of the 2 points, where they had 50. They tied 56, but only 28 went in. That is a 50%. But also the Johannesburg Giants dominated in terms of 3 points, where they had made attempts of 31 attempts, but only 13 went in. In terms of free throws, we can see that the Johannesburg Giants dominated on this one, where they had made an attempt of 13, but only 8 went in. That is a 61.5%. In terms of offensive rebounds, you can see that of our offensive rebounds, Nairobi City Thunder dominated with 17, but in terms of defensive, also the Nairobi City Thunder also dominated. But this one, if you look at both teams, they had almost an equal number of rebounds, both offensive and the defensive rebounds. But also, where also noted is in terms of the block shots. You can see that our Nairobi City Thunder really tried to block those shots, because they had the highest number of block shots, and they blocked 8 shots. So if you look at the number of points from turnovers, Johannesburg boys really turned over against our boys with 20 out of 10 from the Nairobi City Thunder. And if you look at second chance points, the Nairobi City Thunder also took advantage of these, and they had 22 second chance points, and the Johannesburg boys also dominated in terms of fast break points. They were able to get the ball and run to the other court, and they had 30 points basically from this. So basically this was a very hot game where Johannesburg Giants have lost their very first game since they started this particular competition. The Nairobi City Thunder remain unbeaten in these particular competitions, so which means they both qualify in terms of going to the semis, and they might again meet in the finals. So let's see how it goes. So these are some of the comments from the coaches and the players and also some of my friends.
Yeah, game ya mwisho Nairobi City Thunder, vijana wa home, vijana ambao wameweza kupull crowd kubwa ya mashabiki. Both first game na second game yenye imeisha. Wamewin match, but hiyo match ilikuwa tight sana. Hiyo match ilikuwa tight. The Johannesburg Giants guys from South Africa, I think pia walikuwa wanajua timu wanakuja kukutana na labda mimi naona wali game yao ya kwanza, wakaona vile timu imekuwa, and then wakajua namna ya kukam kwa counter. So it is only that I think Nairobi City Thunder wako na talent more kuliko Johannesburg Giants, na hiyo ndio imewin game.
City Thunders, I think they play good basketball, but I think there's a lot of weaknesses there that we picked up when we started them yesterday. I mean, the first thing is to silence the crowd. That's very important. So if we take care of the basketball, we won't turn the ball over. We match them pound for pound. I mean, nothing better than this, playing the home team at home, and I think our guys are ready to play in Nairobi tomorrow. This is what the players are there for. I mean, I said it yesterday, the best way to beat a home team is when you silence the crowd, and then you walk out there, they look at you and they look at you funny, but the bottom line is you silence them. So we knew what we were coming into. We understand that. The crowd is never going to be affected. I mean, these guys are pros, so they understand that the crowd is going to get into it. We just gave up the last offensive rebound when they missed that. I mean, we get that rebound, it's a different ball game completely because they scored off that. Look, I like my guys. We've got a young team, except for the old man here. But we've got a young team and, homegrown players, except for obviously Dan.
And like you said, when you silence an away crowd, you're playing away. When you silence a crowd that's screaming for the team because you end up winning or you're taking the lead, it's a great feeling, to hear a quiet gym when you're playing, in front of, I don't know, at least 1,000 people in here. So, obviously it does give them their energy when they have their spurts, and it does play into helping them.
Hard fought win. Those guys shot the ball amazing today. It felt like every time they had an open look, my heart sank because it just felt like they couldn't miss. 41% from 3-point line. But yeah, just proud of my guys making plays down the stretch when we needed to.
When we got when they fouled and we're inbounding the ball, we just get the ball in, hold it. They have to foul us. We were up what, 2?
One.
We're up 1. Yeah, we're up 1 at the time. So foul it. I thought they were going to try and foul me. So when I did the spin, I didn't expect the basket to be that wide open. So I just went for it and just instincts.
Tate was a 1 on defense, and today we played a really good defense.
Ngechi, Tyler Ongwae, big players, Adams, big players.
Nice one. See you on the next one.